Hey guys, how you all doing? Welcome back to the channel, Ofer again. Today we're going to talk about 5 different mods that you should and must do to your old Charvel guitars in order to keep them up to date and to make sure that they are road worthy. Well, before people start going crazy in the comments and say things like, "Oh my god, you just ruined an original vintage guitar," I just want to say these guitars were great when they came out of the factory almost 40 years ago, but a lot of change and a lot of improved in the guitar industry and the guitar landscape, and I think it's a great idea to mod and upgrade the guitar like that, especially if you want to make it your main axe. If your thing is just like playing around with these old guitars and keeping them stock and just enjoying a good bit of nostalgia, go for it. But I think these are great modding platforms and they're great playing guitars. So just a great idea to mod them and make them roadworthy and ready to rock. So without any further ado, let's get started. Alright, so the first thing I do whenever I get an old Charvel in my hands is gutting out the electronics. Now don't get me wrong, the original pickups and the electronics, they're cool, but as I said in the beginning, if you're into nostalgia, go for it. But today we're talking about making these guitars modernized, and I feel like the original pickups, they're lacking some output, they lack some clarity. I also feel like the mid-boost active circuit that was in a lot of these guitars was stealing the character from the guitars, and it's taking away the natural sound, that passive pickups just give and embellish in the guitar. So yeah, the first thing I'm doing, I'm gutting out the electronics. You can see this is a Model 4 I'm currently working on. I got everything out. It had the mid-boost circuit, which I just don't like it. I also don't like having a battery in my guitar. It can die of you and it's just unnecessary. And also, messing with a knob, you never know exactly where did you set it up unless you're going all the way up or all the way down. The mid-boost circuit is just, I don't know, it's not for me. I had enough of it. The pickups, again, I'm not the biggest fan. Almost every time I'm getting one of these, I'm like, alright, this time I'm gonna keep the pickups in and they're great. But then, a couple weeks later, I play one of my other Charvel Jackson guitars that I've already upgraded, and you just feel the lack of clarity. It's a bit muddy. I just don't feel like they stand in today's standards, So, gutting out the guitar. Next thing. So after you gutting the guitar, I think it's a great idea to change all the electronics to passive electronics instead of active ones. The first thing you'll notice when you gut out the guitar is the jack. I have it right here, and I also provide some close-up footage. It's made out of plastic, it's fiddly, and it's always going to fail eventually. So I think it's a great idea. Just change it to a better switchcraft stereo jack. I do like using stereo jack even when I'm going passive because it has kind of 2 stages of locking in the cable, and it's great. So you can definitely stick with the stereo jack. Just please get rid of this shitty plasticky jack. Now the one thing I really like about the electronics in these old guitars is the switch, the pickup selector. The 5-way switch is great, it's reliable, never failed on me, it's very accurate, makes a great sound, and I love it very much. So if you've got a 5-way selector switch, please keep it in there. So the next mod you'll have to perform on your guitar, especially if you're going for passive pickups, is enlarging the potholes. In these old Jackson or Charvel guitars, the potholes are very narrow compared to 500K pots, and you'll have to enlarge them. Let me show you in the next footage how to do it. It's very simple, and you don't need any tools except a screwdriver or a pen and some 120 sandpaper. So all you really need in order to enlarge the potholes is some sandpaper, a screwdriver. You want a delicate surface tape because you don't want to move any of the finish of the guitar, and that's about it. Now what you're gonna do, you're going to take the ring of your new pot and you're going to tape it to the guitar. Now this is the smaller one, so it doesn't really matter. I'm just showing you the basics. You're going to take some tape, You're gonna tape it in place, make sure that it's aligned correctly with the hole, tape it in place, get it secure, cover the whole space just in case you're missing anything so you won't scratch the guitar. You're gonna take the screwdriver, put your sandpaper on the screwdriver, you're gonna put it in the hole, and you're going to sand it until you basically hit the metal particle, and you're going to hear a difference in the sound. If you're paranoid, you can take your new pot and see if it fits there every few strokes. And that's about it. Pretty easy, right? Alright, after we've gutted the electronics, we enlarged the potholes, the next thing we're gonna do is change the JD6 tremolo if you've got one. Now, I know a lot of like nostalgic people look at the JD6 and it reminds them of when they were 6 years old and their mom made them a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. But it's 2025 and we've got good tremolos in the market. Please get rid of the JD6 trem. I think it looks cool. I do like, you know, how old school it is. But if you want to take your guitar and gig with it, you need a floating trem. I suggest either going for a shallow tremolo or an original Floyd Rose tremolo. Both are a direct swap. You just take out the JD6, you sell it on reverb, and you put in the new floating trem of your choice. Also, it's going to improve the sound quite a bit. Every time I change the JD6 tremolo, I just noticed improved harmonics, improved sustain, and just an overall better feel of the guitar. Alright, so the next mod is relevant only to the model series guitars, and it is converting the nut to a Floyd Rose type nut and not the behind the nut locking mechanism that is on all of the model series guitars. Now, I think the behind the nut locking mechanism is fine, it looks cool, it gives the guitar this kind of, you know, old school look, but it's not as practical. It always fails at some point. You get grooves on the locking mechanism and it's just not up to date. So the nut conversion is probably the hardest mod of all the mods I've enlisted here, but it is probably the biggest improvement, especially if you have a model series guitar, because the behind the nut locking mechanism is just dated. It's going to fail on you, and it's so much better having the Floyd Rose nut. I can't stress it enough. I'll do a video in a couple days on how to do it. I developed a method that's really simple and it doesn't require any special tools, and it just takes like, you know, a couple hours total, and it turns out great. I did it to this guitar and I couldn't be happier. So stay tuned and please convert that nut. So the next mod is relating to the shallow tremolo that is installed on all of the later deluxe series guitars from I think 89 to 91, and it's repairing the strip threads on the intonation screws. Now let's get closer and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. Alright, so to repair the stripped intonation screw holes on our shallow tremolos, we're gonna need some helicoils. This is a pretty magical invention. You can find it on Amazon for like 10-15 bucks. You're going to need the M3 size, and you're going to need a hand drill and some carriage. They actually provide you with everything you really need. They give you the right bit size and they give you a bunch of other tools. You're gonna go to your stripped hole and you're gonna drill through it, and then you put in the helicoils and it's just a new thread. Super simple. I'm going to make another video just for that to help you guys, because it really changed my life. Before it, I used to just think that you gotta buy a new base plate, which I've never really done because it's not really worth it. So I just opted to get a new tremolo every time I had some problems with these screws. But this is a great fix, and one pack of these can last you a long time, and it's going to repair you a lot of shallow tremolos. And last but not least, the last mod we're going to do today is replacing the tremolo bar. After years of abuse, your old tremolo bar is going to wear down, it's going to clunk, and it's not going to stay in place. And a new one cost about 20 bucks, I think. It takes like 5 minutes to install it, and you're just going to feel so much better. I love when the bar is intact, when it's not clunking, when it stays in place, and it just feels like one unit with the tremolo. So go ahead, get one. Me personally, I like the classic screw-in trems, especially when you get a new one. They just stay intact, they feel good, and just a great improvement. Now for those of you that took out the mid-boost system and you're left with one hole there in the middle, what you can do is put a kill switch, just as I've done on this guitar. It's nice, it's fun, it's another little thing to play with, and you're going to close that hole in the middle of your guitar. One of these switches, I think it's like, I don't know, 10 bucks, something like that. Again, super easy to install, just 2 wires that you're going to solder to the output jack. Very cool, very fun, recommended. And that's it for today, guys. I hope you learned something from this video. I am going to make a video on the nut conversion very soon, and also I'm going to make another video on the stripped intonation screws and how to repair them. So please stay tuned. Let me know in the comment section if you've got any other questions, and thank you so much for watching and for your support. I'll see you all in the next videos. Please subscribe to the channel if you like what you see here. I got a lot more cool Floyd Rose, Charvel, Jackson related videos coming. Have a good one. Bye bye.